Hey everybody, Kevin Smullin with 2Q Lead Generation Strategies. Just wanted to record another video and hopefully deliver some value and help you continue to grow your business by generating leads, converting them, etc. So in the last few videos that we've done, we've been talking a lot about generating leads from a variety of sources, focusing a lot on Facebook just because it's it's one of those 800-pound gorillas. Lots of people are wanting to learn how to do that. And so we're spending a lot of time teaching that. Now, truth be told, generating a lead, it's actually relatively simple. The larger question is, how do we take those leads that that you're converting or that you're generating and turn them into a conversion? So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And we're going to show you some the simple method that we teach and then some advanced strategies as well. So that's what we're going to cover, is how to convert more leads into clients for you real estate agents. So the first thing we want to do is just understand a little bit of math. So the reason why I cover this is because once people start generating leads, they'll say, well, Kevin, I'm generating a few leads and none of them are converting. Okay, so you've got to understand the numbers. So I've got a client that we just started with yesterday. She just did her very first campaign on a $10 budget, $10 a day budget. She's generated 5 leads in the first 24 hours. And so those 5 leads, the chance of one of those 5 turning into a transaction, truth be told, is pretty slim. And so if she were to say to me, and she hasn't, but if she were to say, well, Kevin, I haven't done a transaction yet, I would probably respond with, are you kidding? And so it's just a matter of understanding these numbers. So let's put things in perspective. Let's say that you had been doing this for a while, and over the course of a few weeks or a month or whatever, let's say you'd put together or generated 100 different leads on Facebook. Now, most of my clients are generating a lead, especially a buyer lead, in the price of sometimes even less than $1, but basically $1 to $3 is what I tell people. That tends to be the range very commonly. But just for the sake of this example, let's say it's double that, and you're paying about $5 a lead. So if you had generated 100 leads at a cost of $5 a lead, then you would have spent a total of $500 to generate those leads, right? That would have been your total expense. Now, normally what we see with leads on Facebook, where it's a cold lead, it's not based on a relationship, the conversion rate is usually anywhere from 1% to 3%. Now, the reason why there's a little bit of a range is because there's some variables. Depends on how meticulous you are about your follow-up. Depends on your sales skills. It depends on what you're offering and helping people take that next step. So there are some variables, but let's just say we'll take the middle road, and let's say that we have a 2% conversion. So, out of 2 or 3, out of 100 leads, you would probably get 2 or 3 transactions from that. So if you have an average commission of $6,000, if that's what your average commission is per sale, right, that would be 3% of a $200,000 home. That would be your average gross commission. Then that means for 2 to 3 transactions, you're generating $12,000 to $18,000 of income, and it's costing you $500 to do that. Would you do that? Would you make that exchange, spending $500 to earn $12,000 to $18,000? And the answer is, of course, you do that all day long. And if your answer is no, Kevin, that doesn't make sense, then you may as well stop the video right now and go find something else, because if that's the case, this probably isn't for you. But most people would do that all day long because it's a significant, improvement and increase over what they spent. So even if you only did 1 transaction, right, that would be $6,000 for a $500 expense. That's more than 10 times the money that you've invested. And that's why this makes sense all day long. But the point of this is this: you have to play the numbers game. That's all this is it's a numbers game. And so if you're, generating 1 or 5 or 10 leads and expecting that to turn into a transaction, don't get me wrong, it can happen, but statistically speaking, it's very unlikely. And it's the large numbers where this really happens. It doesn't happen just from, 5 leads here or 10 leads there. It's large quantities, and that's why I'm talking with people and training them how to get 20, 25 leads a week, because at that number, that's when we start getting into 100 in a month, and things can really start happening from there. So those are the numbers. Now, with that, let's get into the conversion. So the magic is in the follow-up, simply because statistics show that very few people are going to become a customer on the first contact. A lot of the numbers that I've seen say that it's even less than 1% of people become a customer on the first contact. And that's why following up is so critical. The money is in the follow-up. And the top producing agents are really where they are simply because they have follow-up systems that are simplifying this process. And so that's what I'm going to teach you in the first part of this, is the process that will just help you simplify this. So the procedure for following up with a Facebook lead is, number one, you want to call the lead immediately if you can within receiving it. And I'm going to go through each one of these in detail. The second thing is you want to be calling multiple times the day that the lead is generated. I highly recommend sending a text and email message as well. Now, if you're following the training that we teach, one of the things that we talk about a lot is having an automated message, an autoresponder that's going out at the moment that the lead is generated. That way, even if you can't call or text right as that lead is generated, at least that automated message is going out and that's your first touch point. You want to repeat this for a couple days if you haven't been able to make contact. Again, you want to establish contact as quickly as you possibly can. And then if you can't, if you're not able to make contact within those first few days, then we want to place them on a monthly drip where we're just constantly sending them information. Okay. And then again, once we do make contact, we want to find a way to add value before we ask them to do business with us. And we'll talk about each one of these. So number one, calling the lead immediately. Again, if you follow up with leads within the first 5 minutes, you're 9 times more likely to convert them. These are numbers from InsideSales.com. And again, there's so many studies that have been done on this, but that's what they found is conversion rates more than double if you're able to call within the first 5 minutes of the lead being generated. Now, if you get in touch with them while it's still fresh on their mind, that's when the desire is the highest, and that's why it's the best time to contact them for this. This isn't the time to be selling, right? This is really the time to be adding value. You want to be helpful so that they continue with you. They want to, all you're really trying to do when you contact them is get them to take that next step. And in most cases, the next step is if they like the home, you're asking them to go visit the home. Or if it's not what they're looking for, then, tell me what you are looking for and I can give you some homes that do meet that criteria, right? All we want to do is get them to take that next step with you. So how do we add value when we do get in contact? Again, depending on the nature of the campaign, it could be offering them to show the home. It could be providing a neighborhood report or a custom list of properties, setting them up on an automated search. If you're doing like a seller lead campaign, it could be, a market analysis. But any of those things will add value. Now, the second thing is we want to call multiple times during the day that the lead is generated, send a text and email too. So very few sales, again, with an online lead are going to be made on that first attempt. And that's why if you're not following up multiple times, you're going to have horrible conversion rates. And quite frankly, if you're not planning on following up, I would tell you don't even bother with this because you're just not going to see a return because this is where the money's made. So people want to communicate their own way. Some people prefer phone, some prefer text, some prefer email. And that's why we want to send all of these 3 messages is because that allows them to respond the way that they want to respond. See, if you follow the thing that we're teaching, right, the email is automated automatically, so that's happening right as soon as the lead becomes a lead. We highly recommend that you call within the first 5 minutes if you're available to do so. And obviously, you're not going to be available all the time, but as much as possible, you want to make sure that you do that. And then chances are, in a lot of those phone calls, since it's a phone number they don't recognize, they're going to let it go to voicemail. And that means that you want to send a message or send them a text right afterwards. So leave them a voicemail and then send them a text. And so within a few minutes, you've sent them an email, called them, and texted them. And that just lets them respond the way that they want to respond. We could care less which one it is. We just want them to respond. See, and if we're not following up on these, really the best analogy is it's almost like going and, it's like being back in high school when you go and ask somebody to go to prom and they say yes, and then you don't show up for the date. That's kind of what this is like if you're generating a lead and not following up on it, right? It's the date that really counts, not the asking. So with that, again, we're just going to let them communicate the way that they want. The third piece of this is we want to repeat this for a few days. Again, consistency is what's most important. The top producers are usually meticulous and really vigilant about the follow-up process that they do, and that's one of the reasons why they have more business is because they're very good at following up. Again, that's where the magic is. Fourth thing is we want to place them on a monthly drip if you haven't had any contact. So a drip is where we're on a monthly basis just routinely sending them information that's valuable, that's helpful, that's helping them take the next step. and really just getting them to a point where they know you, they trust you, they like you, they value what you do, and so when the time is right, they would use you. Again, if you treat people like they're a client, they'll often become one. We also talk a lot about dripping on your clients for the same reason, but this is just that same process and that same strategy. And it just comes back to this concept that sales is a timing game. And because you never know when the right time is, the only really way to fix that is to be there all the time. So we talked in the beginning when we went over the numbers that anywhere from 1 to 3% of people will convert and become a lead or become a transaction right away. But there's another percentage of people that will convert over time. You know, maybe they need to get their credit fixed or save money for a down payment or. There's a million reasons, but the timing may not just be right today. For most people, probably 98% of the people, the time is not right today. And so this is why we want to put them on a drip and nurture them, is because just because they're not buying today doesn't mean it's a bad lead, right? It just means they need a little bit of time. They want to get to know you a little bit better. They want to see your value. And as you demonstrate those things, they'll have a reason to do business with you. And then fifth and finally, once you make a contact, again, we just want to add value. So people don't want to be sold. People want help. They want value. And if you focus more on what their problems are, what their needs are, you'll just end up doing more business. So just simply invite them to take that next step and show them how you can assist them with what it is that they want to achieve. And if you'll do that, that's one of the big keys for converting these leads and turning them into a client. Now, with that, I told you one of the things that what I've walked you through is the basic follow-up process for what happens when someone becomes a lead. Now, I want to take this even one more step and show you 3 different other ways, some advanced strategies that you can use to be converting leads. So one of those strategies is you can use a calendar to get them to schedule a showing. So if you're following the campaign that I talk about a lot, where we're using a listing to generate a buyer lead, then the process is there's a landing page, they put in their contact information, they hit the submit button, and it will redirect them to a web page where they're getting the information about the property that we promised to send them. So if you're doing that kind of a campaign, one strategy is you can actually put on the bottom of that page, much like this, so this is the bottom of that property profile, you could put something like, hey, do you want a private showing? Click the button below to schedule your private showing of this home. And they just click this button, and when they do that, it pops up your calendar. So this is a screenshot of a program called Calendly, Calendly. They have a free calendar program where you can sign up, you can put your calendar available online, and you can just make times that you're available to show the home. And so people can just click and book an appointment right there. And that's one way that you can start increasing your conversions, is by using a calendar to get them to schedule the showing and just making that process completely automated. So that's one very powerful strategy, again, using a software program like Calendly to do this. A second thing that you can do is you can send them to your IDX website. So IDX is that terminology where your website has an interface with your local multiple listing service. So it's pulling in all the data that are currently for sale. People can go to your website and search. IDX is kind of really the standard in websites for real estate agents. So same thing, once they get to the page that has the information about the property, if that's the campaign that I'm running, then I can have a headline that looks something like this. Hey, are you looking for something different? If this isn't what you're looking for, then take a look at homes that are a perfect fit for you on my website. And they can just click and go search and see what's available. And that would take them to a page that would look something like this on your site, that has the search functionality where they can search for certain kinds of properties and things that are available. So that is another way that you can convert people, is if the home that they initially responded to isn't what they're looking for, you can redirect them to your site, get them searching. And one of the things I love about this particular strategy is as they start searching other homes in the area, right? A lot of these IDX websites will track what criteria people are looking for and the homes that they're looking at, so that when you follow up with them, you can say, hey, it looks like you've been spending a lot of time checking out this listing. Do you want me to schedule a time to go see it? And it just allows you to be very relevant, because you know how to help them based on what it is that they're searching for. So that's a second really cool opportunity, is once they've become a lead, redirecting them back to your website where they can be searching for properties and capture the lead that way. And then the third one, this is kind of a more advanced strategy as well. I love it. It's kind of one of those ninja strategies. But we're using a strategy called retargeting. Now, retargeting, you may not be familiar with that term, but what it means is if you've ever gone to Amazon or Walmart or some kind of a website like that and searched for a product, and then for whatever reason you didn't buy it, and then you start clicking on other websites and going and looking at other things, you'll notice that there's ads that pop up that are advertising the very thing that you just searched for, right? And so what happens is when you're searching for that, your browser makes a record of that. It's called a cookie, but basically in the cookie, it shows what you've been searching for, and there are advertisers or marketers that use that information to put that back in front of you to increase your likelihood of purchasing that. So that is what's called retargeting, is when you're going to all these other places and you're seeing the same thing because those people are targeting you based on what you searched for. Well, we can do the exact same thing, where we can take people who have become a lead. Those would be the people that have hit your property profile page, and we can create a list of those people and run ads to them. So inside Facebook, they have what's called a custom list or a custom audience. So when you go in there, as you can see on this screen, you can create a custom audience based on people who have visited a specific website, because all that information is saved in the cookies. And then what you can do is you can start running ads directly to those people. So think about this, right? Here's a really powerful mindset for marketing. If they've already become a lead, they have some idea of who you are, but they don't know a lot about you yet, right? But imagine they start going to other places, and what if they see testimonial ads like this? Hey, Joe helped me buy a home without a down payment. I didn't think it was possible. Thanks, Joe. Right? So what if they start seeing different ads that are being all over the place, that are testimonials or case studies, and they're able to see what people are saying about you? It's a very powerful effect in their mind where it's like, wow, this agent is awesome. They're everywhere. I really need to work with them. And again, that's what makes this a really powerful strategy for converting the leads that you're getting and turning them into clients. So these are just a couple of advanced strategies that you can use to be taking the leads and getting a better return because you're converting more of them. So that is today's video, today's training on how to increase the conversions of your leads and make more of them into clients. So as always, if you like this video, make sure you click on the subscribe button right below, and then on the bell right next to it. That just means that you want to get notifications, and what that will do is it will notify you every time we put out a new video. Now, we're putting out new videos basically a couple times a week, and we're basically just cramming them full of our best marketing tips and lead generation strategies. So make sure you, again, click on the subscribe button, the notifications, and then you'll be notified of that. So thanks for being here. Again, keep marketing your business, and we will see you on the next video. Have a great video, or have a great week. Take care.